Hi guys, this is Harris Brooker here. I'm a very new YouTuber, and what I hope to bring to you today is just a quick look at some of the things that we have in our garden, because I'd like to show you more in the way of nature, especially in times like this when it's not quite so easy to get away. So what I'd like to stress to begin with is that I'm going to be trying to teach you all I can about the nature and other wildlife that I encounter, but I won't know all the answers. So it's a bit more like learning with me, as well as me teaching you what I know. And with luck, if this got popular enough, it would be nice to be able to make these kinds of videos abroad, in some more exciting places like Uganda, Rwanda, Brazil, wherever, Congo, some wild places like that, and that'll only be possible with increasing support and subscriptions and things like that. But we'll kick off today by getting some more things to look at. So this is my garden, and it's quite a big garden as gardens go, and there's quite a lot in the way of plants in the gutters and also in our lawn. It hasn't been cut in the past. 2 weeks ago was about the last time it got cut, but you can start to see that some things are already growing up like this ragwort. Hasn't produced any flowers yet, but it probably will do. I'm not going to handle it just because they are said to be a little bit carcinogenic, so that's why I won't be touching that with my bare hands, at least. One thing I will show you is this is called white clover. If you've ever seen these plants that cover lawns and they've got these three leaflets, then they're quite likely to be one of several species, but white clover is one of the most common. I don't know if you can see that here, but if I can just, you'll see that here there's white markings in the shape of a crescent, and that's often quite typical of red clover, white clover, because white clover is has that and the red clover doesn't. I don't know how well you can see that, but these are the pedicels, the like tiny little leaf stalks. In fact, there's barely any in this one, or very short ones at least. So those are the leaves, and the flowers, if I just hold here, now these are related to the pea family, the Fabaceae, or I think they call them the bean family sometimes. And what plants like this are quite good at doing is they're quite good at fixing nitrogen in environments which are otherwise quite poor in nutrients. It's often one that you see quite a bit in fields, and it's a good plant for insects, especially where you might get lots of pesticides that mean that there's not the same variety in the fields as one that doesn't use pesticides. It's quite good for cattle, like it, but apparently not too much because it gives them a tummy ache, I hear. And I don't know how well you can see that, guys, but there's you can just about make out the way that the flowers are held, and see the petals, which I'll just see if I can snap off a piece. to show you. So there's an example of an individual flower. I'll maybe just bring it over somewhere which is a little bit easier to study. So there you have it. This is the individual flower of a white clover, and you see how it's folded like that. See how it's folded into like a standard. I'll just put it down again and I'll show you as best I can, because this phone doesn't like anything too close to it. That's better. See how it's nice and folded that way, and you can see those green tooth-like structures at the base of the flower. Those are called the sepals, and below that sort of bulbous cavity there, I think, is the ovary, which is where when the bees come to the flowers, the bees are the butterflies, they come to drink the nectar and they get dabbed with pollen, and when they dab pollen on the stigma, it goes down the tube into this cavity, and it's then fertilized by the ovules are then fertilized by the pollen, and that makes your seeds. And they're a very successful group of plants, these white clover. So that pretty much wraps up white clover. We've got other plants that we can look at, like well, we've seen ragwort. We could have a look at oh well, actually, here we go.